This is Health Yeah, your weekly update on what's going on in the health, wellness, and medical world with Monica Robbins.
Hey everyone, welcome to Health Yeah, your place for clear, concise medical health and wellness information. I'm Monica Robbins. By now you have seen, yes, the COVID numbers are going up. Hospitalizations and deaths still kind of lingering. So what does all this mean, especially now when some counties are reinstating mask mandates? What do you need to know? I talked to the health commissioners of Lorain County and Summit County to better explain why this matters.
What do people need to keep in mind about these color changes?
Well, I think that's the purpose and the guidance is that you start thinking a little different. And I think it's time to really start thinking about you have to protect yourself. I mean, COVID is circulating. We know that it's extremely contagious. We know that those vaccines, if you don't have those boosters, they're going to start to wane at that 5 to 6 month point. You need to get up to date and keep taking those, boosters if you're eligible. And so I think you need to start thinking it's here. It's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. So I really need to protect myself. And I need to think about closed spaces, who I'm around. If I take care of vulnerable individuals, then those individuals could easily become ill. And so you have to be thinking that I don't want to get sick myself, nor do I want anyone else in my immediate circle or anybody else to get ill as well. So it's important. And if you are in a closed space, public transportation, a crowded bar, you really need to wear a mask.
Mark, what color is Lorain County right now?
We're orange. We went orange 2 weeks ago with Ashtabula.
Who really needs to be wearing a mask? Because I've been telling everybody, look, if a mask makes you more comfortable, no matter what the color of the county is, feel free to wear it if you want to protect yourself, or especially if you live with somebody who has a compromised immune system. So, but who should really be wearing a mask and when?
You need to think about your own protection. But I can tell you, if I were an individual that had anything that Mark described as far as any comorbidity, any sort of underlying health condition, solid organ transplant, any autoimmune disease, you really need to think seriously about wearing a mask to protect yourself. I don't know about everybody else, but I kind of liked not being sick for 2 years. I didn't have a cold. I haven't had the flu. So I'm still wearing a mask in places because I like being not sick. And it really did help with everything else as well. Not to mention, it helps give you some protection along with all the other tools. So really it is that group that is vulnerable and or individuals that are healthy that end up in tight spaces, airplane rides, cars, anywhere you're around a group of people you do not know and they're close to you and they're breathing on you.
You're going to know somebody that has those conditions as well. And if you do, you should also be one of those folks that, hey, I'm going to be at a family event. I really should be taking care of that person that may have these things that Donna discussed.
But with this variant right now, I'm reading that the 6 foot rule really doesn't apply anymore because this is so incredibly infectious. But everybody's really numb to the COVID stuff. So how do we, get it through their head? A, the pandemic is not over, and B, hospitalizations aren't skyrocketing or deaths are not skyrocketing. So how do you make people care?
That is a tough one because I just watched a neighbor that unfortunately caught COVID, and their mother had recently moved into the home. She caught COVID and died less than a month later. And unfortunately, that story is not the story that you can really, that a lot of people get to see, that they don't see that risk is really out there and that real people still can die from this, especially those that are not vaccinated. And in those groups where if they're not vaccinated or have either had it and have a comorbidity or some sort of immunocompromised status, they're not seeing that connection. And it's unfortunate because those stories are real. And so the only way that my words would be is that really does happen. It's not, it's something that still happened. It can still happen and is currently happening throughout the United States.
Yeah, I think for us, we really try to emphasize that since the beginning of this, we have not known who gets really sick and who doesn't. And that's why these precautions are important. I have seen, and I know we're really close to it, and we get to hear many, many more stories. But I have talked to 84-year-old mothers who were in the hospital for 4 days and came out, and their 56-year-old son did not make it out. I mean, there is no rhyme or reason. And so we have to still remember that. And I wouldn't say the pandemic is still in the same phase. It's in a different phase now, and it's endemic. And I try to explain to folks that right now, if we had a really bad influenza A or B, we'd probably be asking people to get another vaccine for A or B influenza, because it would be waning from the fall. And it's the same with COVID. We just keep having to revaccinate because it won't go away. And it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing. So we really have to keep up on those vaccines in order to get this thing beat back. And so that COVID doesn't have another body to go into to change and become more deadly. Because right now it is getting just more infectious, which is great, just infectious, but you don't know when that next variant is coming.
I'm assuming we're going to see a bump in the numbers, but I'm betting next Thursday we're going to see a significant increase. Are you guys thinking the same thing?
You're definitely going to see more counties popping orange on this Thursday. So Friday morning, there's going to be some more color changes in the state of Ohio. For us, we're running about a 9-week on average, a 9-week surge, and we're at about week 5, just about week 6. So we still have a few weeks to go before we peak, and then it'll take another 4 weeks for those numbers to go back down. So you're looking at most of June, for at least us, that our numbers will continue to go up before they start to slow down.
For people who are looking at the hospitalizations and the deaths, and the fact that I think right now we had 687 people hospitalized with COVID in the entire state.
Right.
A lot of people are looking at those hospitalizations and deaths and saying, come on, it's really not that big a deal. How do you respond to that?
We've been in this about 2.5 years now. We don't know everything there is to know about this. We're having individuals that have long-term residual effects, long hauler syndrome. We don't really know who gets really sick, who doesn't. We need to be very, very careful in thinking that we're healthy, we're good. It won't harm us the way it harms other people. There are plenty of people who will tell you they have long haulers, whether it's the mental confusion, it's the system organ. They didn't have really serious disease, but their lung capacity never quite got back to where it was before. They still have some scarring. They never really had a serious pneumonia. So we don't know what that looks like long term. So my advice to people is never get COVID. If you can avoid it, try to never get it. I've had folks say to me, oh, I'll get it and I'll have immunity. No, do not do that. 90 days is about what CDC says you can get from having an active infection. But let me say this, it does not mean you'll fully recover.
Please find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monica Robbins. Like and follow my Facebook page, Monica Robbins WKYC. Subscribe and find video podcasts on my YouTube channel, Monica Robbins. Until next time, have a healthy week.
Thanks for listening to Health Yeah with Monica Robbins from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update. And find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and on the WKYC app.